No.
This is what section is this?
6.2.
6.2?
No, 6.3. We did 6.2. Or that is.
We hadn't finished 6.2 though.
Oh.
So
Okay.
did we get? Hold on. Did we do that graph?
We did the picture, like the one
We did
after.
that, Ron. Oh, wait.
So one thing I didn't say about this graph is this reaction on the left, we call it spontaneous. Since the reactants have more energy than the products, nature tends to move molecules in that direction, where they end up at the lowest energy level possible. So we call that a spontaneous reaction. In other words, the way I used to think of it was, reactions like to go in that direction. In nature, things tend to go from where they're high energy to where they're less energy. They tend to give off energy over time. So if we had a big molecule like this, over time it would tend to break up and give off energy and be smaller molecules. Not the opposite direction. Things tend to break down, not to build up. So you wouldn't usually see molecules like this come together to form that, just letting things stand as they are. So we say it's a spontaneous reaction when you go from high energy to low energy. We say it's not a spontaneous reaction when you go from low energy to high energy. Spontaneous means it just kind of happens. So the kind on the right doesn't happen very easily on its own. You have to input energy to make it happen. Yeah.
Can I take my computer out there?
I guess so, yeah. Maybe that'll work.
So like would wood burning be spontaneous?
Wood burning is spontaneous. It's going from high energy, the wood, to low energy, the carbon dioxide and water that's left after you burn wood. So, would that happen on its own? No, but you would slowly, the wood would slowly, the molecules would fall apart over time. But it would happen very slowly. But if you supply a match, you supply some activation energy, then here's what happens, Dylan. This is a good lead into this. If you light the wood on fire, you supply this activation energy. Then you get the reactants, the wood molecules, changing to the products, the CO2 and water. And when the wood molecules burn, they give off energy. And the energy that they give off is used as activation energy to make more wood molecules burn. And they give off energy, and that's used as activation energy to make more wood molecules burn. And the whole log burns up. So you don't have to keep supplying energy. You just start out with a little bit of activation energy, and then the molecules that are there go through the reaction, and this energy that's given off can be felt as heat and light, and the wood's burning, and some of that energy that's given off is used to make more wood molecules burn. And it just keeps going and going and going. It's spontaneous. A reaction like this, which is how the wood was made in the first place, you start with CO2 and H2O, low energy things, and you got to add a whole lot of energy to put them together to make your products. And that energy, that delta G there, is obtained from sunlight usually in making wood. Sun shines on the leaf and it takes that energy and puts the molecules together, and we're going to learn that next chapter. Is this exciting to y'all?
Yes.
It's not. You don't have to lie to me. It's not. So this just shows if we have enzymes the activation energy can be a lot lower. You don't have to get the wood nearly as hot to form your products if you have enzymes that can tear down the wood. Termites have bacteria in their guts that have enzymes that can tear down the wood. That's why termites can eat wood. And so that wood can be torn down at a much lower temperature than a flame. So that what we say is it lowers the activation energy. And y'all miss this, so if you ever see anything like this, you just assume that that green line keeps going down to form products. There's just two paths. You can go over the big hump if you don't have enzymes, but you got to get things real hot. You can go over the small hump if you do have enzymes, and things don't have to get nearly as hot. This is why nature has come up with enzymes to help with chemical reactions. You can do things at lower temperatures. You know what temperature your enzymes work best at?
98.6.
98.6. I just read a cool article that said that number, 98.6, they came up with that in like the 1800s by measuring body temperatures of thousands of people and getting an average. And they've repeated those experiments since, and body temperature is actually higher than that now.
What is it?
It's evolved to be higher. It's like 99.1 or something like that. I don't remember what they said it was.
That's what called fetus.
But they think that body temperature has actually gotten warmer since then. They don't think that they messed up the experiment back then. They think that humans are evolving to have higher body temperatures for some reason.
Why?
They don't
Make
know.
it harder for diseases. Would it?
Could be. Yeah, could be. Maybe that's the reason.
Good job, Dylan.
It's good thinking.
Big brain.
Okay, so how does energy usually move through living organisms? It usually comes from the sun. It's usually converted into chemical energy and stored in plants. Leaves have chloroplasts that can take the light energy and store the light energy in bonds between atoms. So you might have a carbon here and a carbon here, and the leaf is able to make a bond between them using the light energy. So now the light energy is chemical energy and can be stored away in the plant. That chemical energy can be eaten by animals. And the animals then have the chemical energy in them. It's called food, and you eat it. And those molecules from the plants are in you. And then your cells are able to tear the molecules apart and use that energy for things like movement. And your muscles can contract and you can move. So that movement, when I'm doing this right here, which I don't know why I'm doing, but it's kind of fun. When I'm doing this originally came from the sun. What's making me do this?
I like it.
You do the wave. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh. Oh.
Where's it going? Where's it going?
That's how I used to dance when I was your age. And that was cool. And it still is, actually. So, we've taken sun energy, we've put it into molecules, and then we've taken the molecules in, and we tear the molecules apart, and we're able to move. So there's this succession of energy moving from sunlight all the way to movement.
Heck yeah.
And one of the laws of thermodynamics, you'll read in your reading about the laws of thermodynamics, and you probably studied these at some point, maybe in middle school. But one of the laws of thermodynamics says when you change energy from one form to another, when you go from light energy to chemical energy, or when you go from chemical to kinetic energy, that some of the there's no way you can have 100% efficient conversion. Some energy is lost at each step. So maybe some energy got lost here in the conversion to chemical energy. It wasn't perfect. We lost some energy along the way. It's usually lost as heat. Some heat comes off of the plant trying to put these bonds together. And then when we tear those bonds apart, we get some energy out of it, but some more is lost as heat. And you can feel that heat coming off your body. That's heat that's lost from these conversions. And that's why your body temperature is what it is. You're converting molecules inside you, and you're losing a lot of heat.
So if I cut the leaf off of that branch,
Yes.
and then I ate it, I would lose energy. Like I wouldn't get 100% of the energy from
You
the
wouldn't
leaf.
get 100%. Whatever energy is contained in the leaf, you wouldn't get it all from it. In most conversions, cellular conversions are maybe like 30 or 40% efficient. 60% of the efficiency is lost as heat.
Okay.
Think about a car engine, a gas. You put gas in your car, and it burns up in the engine, and it makes the car move, right? There's a lot more energy than the gas in the gas than goes to the movement. About 10% of the energy goes to moving your car, and about 90% of the energy is lost as heat. Cars aren't very efficient. And so that's why your engine gets so hot. Maybe you can get a better efficiency out of it. Electric cars are a lot more efficient. They can get up to, I think, 40 or 50% efficiency. And the better a car is made, the more efficient it'll be. And that's where you can gain some gas mileage. But you never have 100% efficiency. That's against the laws of physics. If you could get 100% efficiency, you could have perpetual motion, which is something you could talk about in physics when you study that. Okay, here's the last thing I want to talk about. Entropy. Have you ever heard this word entropy?
Yes.
Entropy is disorder. Entropy is disorder. You come into a messy room, you could say, man, it's high entropy in this room. And, no one will know what you're talking about. And that's cool. And you can prove yourself smarter than everyone. So anyway, here we go. We have a solid here. A lot of molecules real close together, very orderly and organized. It becomes a liquid, and your ice melts or whatever, and now the molecules are more spread out. This is going from low entropy on the bottom to high entropy on the top, if we go that way. In nature, things tend to go toward higher entropy if left alone. Things tend to go toward disorder. If I took a stack of papers and I threw them up in the air, just throw them up, it tends to become very disorderly, right? It just tends to go from order to disorder. And if left alone, it's funny, I just found my AP biology equations sheets, which I had lost. I was trying to give you as the last test. Anyway, here they are. So it's kind of funny. The first time I ever taught, I was teaching physical science at Brunswick High. It was one of my first days of class, and I took a stack of paper and I threw it up like that, and it landed in a perfect stack.
Well,
No, it did not.
It didn't come apart at all. And I was like,
super tight.
never mind.
Transcend the laws of physics.
I know, it's crazy. But usually, so if left alone, things go to a disorderly state. And so we call that entropy. And you have to think about that with molecules too. Here's a molecule that's pretty orderly, right? It'll tend over time to break up and these things come apart. If you want it to go to an orderly state, what do you have to do? You have to input energy to get these things to connect together and be nice and orderly. If you want your room to be orderly, you got to input energy, and you got to pick everything up and put it in nice little stacks and things. We're constantly fighting disorder. You know, you come in, you clean up your room, and everything's great, and 3 days later, there's stuff everywhere. It tends to turn disorderly. Go in a direction of high entropy. The way to combat entropy is through energy. If you input energy, you can lower entropy. So, entropy is something else you might see on tests. Just think about disorder. And they'll often show you a couple pictures. They might show you the picture on top, and they might show you the picture on the bottom. And they'll say, which of these two pictures has higher entropy? And you got to pick between them. And what would you say? Which has higher entropy? The one on the top. Simple as that. Kind of boring chapters. It could be a quiz over half of 6.2 and 6.3, so make sure you read it. And I want to look at a cell through the microscope. I just got some new stain I want to try out, okay? So go in there and get a microscope out. I'm going to show you how to look at a cell. Oh, you